Oh, I see Ricard is joining. Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, and welcome to this instance of the Antrea community meeting. Today is Monday, November the 9th, or Tuesday, November the 10th, according, as usual, to which time zone you're in. And for today, we don't have an official prepared agenda, but since we always have something to discuss, I will hand it over to Wei Chang for his presentation. So Wei Chang, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. On my screen first. Okay. Okay. I would like to show the Antrea proxy no port service design today. And first, this structure is only for Linux nodes, and we still need to design the solution for Windows nodes later. Yeah. The motivation is that we have already implemented class IP services in Antrea, and but the Q proxy is still needed to support no port services, since the Q proxy cannot run only for no port services, and class IP services calculation of it with a lot of CPU cycles and memories. Yeah. Once we implement the no port service support in Antrea and remove Q proxy in the clusters, then we can wipe the overhead, and furthermore, the traffic for watching service resources should also decrease, and the pressure of API server should also be lower. The general idea is that for both cluster IP and no port services, when accessing them, the traffic should always be donated to a pod endpoint, and thus we can reuse the cluster IP endpoint selection flows in OS, and to achieve this, the traffic going to the host, the no port traffic must be redirected to the OS correctly. Yeah, and once we implement this feature, then we can remove Q-proxy deployment in theory. But we need to consider the way to start Antrea without Q-proxy, or start the whole cluster without Q-proxy. Yeah. And here come the detailed design. Yeah, from our prior experiment, the performance of IPtables will go down significantly. If there are too many rules, thus we should keep the number of IPtables rules as small as possible. Yeah. And by using IPset, we can use a constant number of IPtable rules to match traffic that we need to redirect. And for a hash type IPset, the matching complexity should be 01. And for each valid no port service, there should be several entries in the IP set according to the interface addresses on the node. And the traffic, no matter if comes from the remote or the current host, for example, with localhost source IP address, once its destination matches entries in IP set, then we need to forward it to the OS by doing DNAT using a link host address. For example, this one. Yeah, this one should be configurable. Yeah, and to enable the forwarding, we need an unlink route rule. For example, like this, the link local IP, well, the link local IP, and unlink the Antrea gateway. Yeah. Yeah, this web graph is directly copied from the Kubernetes official document. Yeah, there are two options for the type of no port service, cluster and local. And the cluster obscures the client source IP and may cause a second hoop to another node, but it should have good overall load spreading. And the local preserves the client source IP and avoids a second hoop for load balancer and no port type sources, but risks potential imbalanced traffic spreading. This approach preserves the original source IP addresses. Need to attention here that if there are no local endpoints, packets sent to the node are dropped. Yeah, so you can rely on the correct source IP in any packet processing rules. You might apply a packet that makes it through the endpoint. Yeah. then the diagram, the workflow diagram should look like this. A packet is come from the external or come from local host. They goes to the pre-routing chain and then do the route decision and then go to the post-routing. And if it's come from local host or it goes to a cluster node port, and then we do the masquerade. Yeah. The IPtables implementation according to the external traffic policy would look like below. Yeah, this one. And the F0 in hex, yes, F0 and the F1 are used to tell the external traffic policy type of the packets. Yeah, as I said, in output chain and pre-routing chain, we send the packet to the Antrea node port chain to match if the packet is a node port packet. Yeah, and for local external traffic policy packet, yeah, we set with CTMark. We set it with CTMark F0, or if it is a cluster policy node port service, we set it with F1. If and then if a packet with F0 F1, then we do the DNAT to make the packet be forwarded to the OS. And after the host did the route decision, and then the packet goes to the post routing chain. And in post routing chain, the packet with source with localhost source IP, or it goes to cluster node port service. We do SNAT. Yeah. In a zoomed out view, there are two typical traffic paths of node port services. For example, the external traffic policy local or traffic policy cluster. And for local policy, we only need to care about the first cases. The client goes to the node, and there is no second hoop. And for cluster policy, we need to care about both of these two cases. And for the local policy or single hoop cluster policy, the detailed traffic path of our implementation should like this. The client issues a request and come to the pre-routing, and in pre-routing we do the DNAT if it is a node port service traffic, and if it do the masquerade. Oh, sorry. Here is a DNAT. Yeah, and do the masquerade, and then the packet goes to the OS, and in OS we just use existed service DNAT flows to forward the packet to the endpoint pod, and then it goes back. Yeah. For the two hoops cases, the traffic path should like this. Yeah. It's just the same as the prior one, but in OS, the destination IP is DNATed to endpoint pod, which is on a different node, and then the packet goes to another node via tunnel, and yeah, then the endpoint pod responds via tunnel also. Yeah. Based on the case above, we need the following flows. First, the flows that makes node port packets comes from gateway back to the gateway with service CTMark instead of the gateway CTMark. Yeah. In current OS pipeline, a packet from pod to external addresses will be tracked with CTMark 20. As we do DNAT for endpoint selection with CTMark 21, then the second packet of a connection from external will not be correctly tracked. Thus, we need the following flow to handle the issue. Yeah. Also, we need a virtual IP and for alternative solutions for the host traffic forward part, we can use alternatives like eBPF or IPtables. Yeah, but for now, I cannot see any significant disadvantages if we use IPtables. And the test plan, I believe that the components test should cover the no port functionalities. Yeah, and also we could add additional E2E test to cover more. Yeah, and since we use IPsec to match no port services, the time complexity of packets matching should be O1, and while the time complexity of OS flow matching is also O1, then the performance should be decent at least. Moreover, since the IPtables use will reduce significantly once we remove the queue proxy, the connection setup delay should decrease too. Yeah, and I should mention that in current design, the traffic from pod to no port service will go through a complex path. Yeah, it should when a pod issues no port request, it goes to the host first, and then it goes to and then the packet goes to pre-routing, post-routing OS, and then back, and the endpoint pod responds to the OS and then back to the host and the whole and then back to OS again, and then back to the source pod. Yeah, it's complex, but as no port service are designed for out of cluster access, and ports to no port should not be a common and best practice use case. So to keep the implementation clear and efficient for those real use cases, I think current implementation is reasonable. Yeah, and that's all about the design doc. Any questions?
Thanks, Wei-Chang. This is a very good introduction. I have a simple question. So basically, can you confirm now we are doing a DNAT twice for every connection that gets into the host, right? Because there is a first DNAT to the virtual IP address in the link local network, and then a second DNAT to the actual pod IP, which is done in OVS. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Did you had a chance to measure whether this introduce additional latency? And if so, okay, that was just a curiosity, because typically NAT is the enemy of latency. But I mean, the other question that I had is, I don't see any issue why for making this work in IPv6. Is that correct? It should just work fine with IPv6 as well.
I didn't consider the IPv6 in this design, but I believe it's quite easy to migrate because IPsec, both IPsec and IPtable support IPv6, and in the new in these two new OpenFlow definition, and we don't have any IP version specific matching or actions, I guess.
Yes, thank you. And the last question is just because I did not understand. So if you can repeat why we needed the ARP responder and what are we doing with it?
I thought that maybe when pod respond to the source IP, the link local source IP, it would need the IRP.
Okay. So it's just for the visual IP on the link local network then.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. No. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
So Wei-Chang, you said, sorry, I missed that. Do we need to stop Kubi proxy for it to work, or even Kubi proxy is still running? We can.
Yeah, for now, I insert those IPtable rules at the first place, so it's actually take over the right of the kubeproxy. But when we implement this one and we consider the way to start Antrea without kubeproxy, since kubeproxy provides the service of the Kubernetes, then maybe we can remove kubeproxy totally. But this is only for Linux nodes, and on Windows nodes we may still need kubeproxy for a while.
Sorry, in Windows, why would you kubeproxy?
Because
go ahead.
This is only for Linux node design. Yeah, and the Linux, since on Linux node we don't have IPtables rules, and we need another approach to achieve this functionality.
I see. I think for Windows it's simpler, right? Because we move the node IP to the OS bridge, so you don't really need any other filter to intercept the traffic from the node to the node.
Yeah, but I guess maybe I should consider it later. Yeah.
Sure. Another question for if we remove the kubeproxy, I think we need add result to the class IP CDA, right? Otherwise, if the node access the node try to access the service, you need some way to for the traffic to OS bridge, right? I mean, if you access the class IP service from the node from the host namespace.
Yeah. I didn't consider that, but yeah, it's true.
I think the output chain take care of this. If the IP matches the output chain, and we already do a net.
I didn't get. I mean, the destination IP should be the class IP, right?
Oh, you mean cluster IP, not.
I mean, node to access the cluster IP.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Yeah, I think you can have some way to fix that.
Yeah, I should consider it more. Thanks.
One more last thing. I think you mentioned the case for port to access the node port.
Yeah.
Port to access node port. So do you think we can handle it in OpenV3 itself? For example, we add some flows to match the node port. At least the node port with the local node IP address.
Yeah, it can be. And for now, I installed service flows with the link local IP, and if we enhance the path, maybe, and we need install 2 flows for one local service, one for the virtual IP and one for the node IP. Yeah. But considering that if we have since we cannot only have one node in a cluster, maybe we should install many many flows.
I think we should just handle local node IP at most, because otherwise it will be quite different from the kubeproxy behavior. I mean, if you handle remote node IP, the traffic will never go to a remote node. I don't know it's a good change or not. But probably we can handle local node IP case.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, you go ahead. Okay. I just saw that one service. Sorry. Yeah, I just saw one service. Yeah, one service for two flows it's different than those other services. And, since these cases are not rarely, and it's not best practice, maybe it's good. Yeah. But
sure, I didn't think about that a lot. I mean. Probably, yeah, probably you are right. I don't know. Maybe done works well to make change.
Yeah. Maybe I can do some performance tests and then decide add or not. Yeah.
Sure.
Right. Okay. For demo, yeah, it's quite simple. Because we have Prometheus enabled in my local cluster. Here you can see there is a Prometheus service which serves on 30,000 port 30,000, and yeah, it's a node. Yeah, sorry. Let me get the should works on worker node. It should also works, and let's inspect the worker node. The IP set should look like this. Yes, Prometheus node port service, which serves on these addresses. Yeah, and in IPtables, that table and the Antrea node port. Yeah, these two rules should be hidden. Yeah, one more time. Yeah, these rules should be hidden, and mask. Yeah. And let me look at it. Should also be hidden 2.7. Yeah, 2. Okay. Yeah, it's a quite simple demo. Yeah, the implementation are 1,471. Yeah, it passed those conformance tests. I think so functionality should be valid. Yeah. All right. So anyone have more questions? Okay. So Salvador, I think that's all my part.
Well, thank you. That was a very nice presentation. I really appreciate that. And you know, if this allows us a path for running Antrea without the kube proxy, is I think it's generally a very good improvement for the project overall. So unfortunately for today, we don't have any other topic, which means we will open now the meeting for open discussion, which of course implies that we can talk about anything you want. So if you have anything that is buzzing you that you would like to talk about, feel free to propose your topic. And of course, we will wait a couple of minutes.
Maybe just a quick announcement that if you're seeing your CI jobs fail because of the Docker rate limiting, so right now this would only be affecting the CI jobs that runs on the VMC Jenkins on AWS. For example, the conformance test and the end-to-end test are run this way. So we are aware of the issue, and we are working with Zicheng on a workaround for this. And it so happens that VMware is running a public instance of Arbor, which is a Docker registry, which can be used to host projects related to VMware. So we're working with them, and we're starting to use that Docker registry to make the Antrea Docker images available, and all the Docker images that we use as part of the build and the testing process. So our base images, our Open vSwitch images, and so on. And so we're updating all the CI jobs, and so hopefully the issue is going to go away and it's going to unstuck some PRs.
Awesome. So that's good news. Out of curiosity, will we use this registry just for the CI, or are we planning to make it also an official image registry for Antrea?
Great question. This is something that we need to discuss. Apparently, the people at VMware running this public registry would be okay with the kind of traffic we're seeing for our Docker images, which I think is way less than I think it's less than 10,000 a week for sure, 10,000 pulls a week. So we probably need to double check, and I think we have no plan to update the manifest for the upcoming release to replace default Docker registry with Arbor registry, but I think it's something we should consider for future releases, especially if we start seeing complaints from users.
Sounds good.
But yeah, if someone is listening to this and runs into issue in their clusters, we can share the public registry. I mean, it's public, so it's meant to be used.
Perfect.
So another item I'd like to bring up in a prior release, we did a retrospective. And I think Cody is the one who ran it. I'm here trying to help the Antrea project get a good open source community health report card. So I would like to see another retrospective in the upcoming release. If Cody isn't available, I'm willing to volunteer, but if somebody else wants to do that, that's fine too. Just asking if people liked having one before, and if you did, if there are plans to do it again.
And Steven, I believe that would be a good idea. As far as I know, there are no plans for, I mean, no one is working on such a retrospective at the moment. Is that correct, Antonin and Junjun?
Yeah, that's correct. But I think we would love to have a new one driven by Steven. I think it would be great, either next meeting or the one after that. I'm going to be off next meeting for Thanksgiving week. I don't know if other people are going to be in that same boat, but yeah, in one of the next couple meetings, it would be great to do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I realize I'm not an active developer on the project, but they actually say for moderating one of these retrospectives that's a good thing. So
yeah, I think it's better. Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
okay,
Glad to
you're
have you
welcome to
to
put me in whenever it's convenient then.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea, and I would really welcome Steven leading this. As mentioned, the next meeting will follow in the Thanksgiving week, so I believe many community members joining from the United States might not be available. So we might do this in 4 weeks' time, if that's okay for everyone.
I think it's great, especially with KubeCon timing.
All right, perfect then. So we schedule this for the meeting of December. December, which day? Come on, calendar work. That would be December the 8th. Yes, December the 8th. Oh, sorry, December the 7th for you.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I just
Okay.
checked.
All right, so we also have good. So we are also building the the agenda for that meeting. And say that, is there anything else to bring up for today? And it appears that there are no more topics for today. So I would like to thank again Wei Chang for his demo. Really really informative. And also many thanks to Stephen for volunteering for conducting retrospective or for assessing the health of the open source project. And say that, I would like to also thank everyone for attending. And as usual, I wish everyone a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, of course, for our friends in Palo Alto. So thanks for joining, and talk to you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.